What's up, guys? I hope you can hear me. It's a little bit breezy today, but we are outside, and today we can finally start planting our warm weather crops. So I have a bunch of herbs here, and I'm sitting on my herb garden, and I'm going to be planting some basil out. I've got some lemongrass that I'm probably not going to plant in here. I think I want to get it its own pot because these guys can get pretty big on their own, and I think I have another spot that I want to place it. I've got Piccolino basil that I've been growing since maybe January or February inside. It's super full and lush, and I'm going to take it out of this pot and plant it in this raised bed that I have all of our herbs in. I think I just ate a bug. So before we get started on planting, let me run through what I have to put in this garden today. So like I said, this is Piccolino basil. This is from M.I. Gardener. I got the seeds and I planted it early this year, and it's done really well. This was originally in this pot with two other of the Piccolino basils, but I separated them and gave this guy a lot of room to grow. He's been doing super well. This is way more potent than any other basil I've ever come across. I like that it has these tiny, extremely tiny little leaves, and they stay super tight and compact. This to me reminds me of a few different varieties of basil I've seen at sold at local nurseries, but I've never seen this one sold at a local nursery. And so to me, this reminds me a lot of the boxwood basil. But what I've noticed is that this guy is just 1,000 times more potent in smell and probably in taste. I've never used it in anything, but if you're looking for a really strong basil, I highly recommend getting the seeds from M.I. Gardener and growing them, because this has really outdone itself. So I'm going to give this a space in the herb garden. This is something I didn't grow from seed, but I picked up from a local garden center, and it's barbecue rosemary. I'm not a big fan of rosemary, but I figured I needed to grow some of it just to have on hand. I'll, dry some and keep some for, whenever the occasional recipe calls for it. But this is not as obnoxious of a smell to me as other rosemaries are, and I thought the name was fun, barbecue rosemary. I'm assuming it's used a lot with like barbecuing meats and stuff like that, but it's got a much more subdued smell to it, so I'm super excited to plant this. This is amethyst basil. Again, I did not grow this. I picked it up from a local garden center. I did grow a purple basil. I grew the purple ruffles basil, but I thought that this was really pretty, and can one ever have too many purple plants in their yard? This is the purple ruffles basil that I grew. Again, a very different look from the amethyst basil here. This one has a lot more green on it. Next thing I have is sorrel, and I thought this was really pretty, like the silvery on the leaf. I think these leaves have such an interesting shape to them. I can either see like goldfish or like a bunny shape. And this is true French sorrel, and I know this is edible. I know this is like an herb, but I don't know how to use it, so that's going to be something that I'm going to have to Google and find out more about. But even if we don't eat this, I thought it was a really beautiful texture in the garden. And like I mentioned, I've got lemongrass here. This is really good for a lot of things. I've never used any of it before. I'm definitely going to have to make a list of all the ways, but I think it's also just really good as like planting these around your patio as like bug repellent and stuff like that. So I'm going to give this its own container. I don't have a container big enough for it now, so I will have to get one at the garden center, but this guy is just sitting out here getting some sun and hardening off a little bit more. And the last thing that I have to plant in this herb garden today is something I'm super excited about, is pineapple sage. So this guy has got some leaves I need to pick off. But this truly 100% smells exactly like pineapple. It has such a citrusy pineapple scent. It's just wonderful. Oh, it smells so good. So I'm gonna get these all planted, and then I'll talk you through where I placed each one and what else is in the bed. Here's a quick pan over. I just watered them, so some of them are a little floppy. Starting over here, we have curly chives, orange thyme, Italian large leaf parsley. This is platinum blonde lavender, sage. Here's the piccolino basil, which I could totally pinch these back, and yeah, I might do that. I might pinch some of them back, and then I can even take what I pinch off and we can use them in dinner. We've got Greek oregano, lavender thyme. Here's the very floppy, I'll also probably pinch this back to here, amethyst basil. And if you don't know how to pinch something back, you just go down to a nice set of leaves and you pinch it off. Just like that. And that encourages more bushy growth. And you can take this and either put it in soil and try and grow a new plant, or use it for a meal. And you also want to do that whenever you see that your basil is starting to bloom as well, because the blooms can make basil taste bitter. Here's that barbecue rosemary, sorrel, the pineapple sage, purple ruffles basil. These are the two sedums that I talked about in a previous video that are not staying here. I just needed a place to put them. And then here is some fennel. Now I absolutely overplanted this bed by a long shot. You do not need this many plants. However, I want a super full, super lush herb garden. I wanted to try and fit as many herbs in there as I can. And if I see that something truly doesn't have enough space to grow, I'll pop it out at that point and give it its own space. But I am loving the way that it looks. It looks so lush and full right now. I can't wait for even a few weeks or even a couple months. That thing is going to be teeming with life. And leave in the comments down below what your favorite herb is to grow and how you like to use it. So, thank you guys for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.